Right, it's one player I wanted to talk about in your career, though, is an interesting player because obviously he's been up and he's been down. It is kjaerbye, who obviously now is sadly retired, even though he's still a very young guy. And if people remember, you had him at almost all phases of his career because you had him when he was really young and he was just another player in the team. And if people don't remember, I always thought your team was one of the best actually for showing how like the structure of a team's set up in terms of who gets resources. Because if people remember the story, when Azy was in the team, Azy was the one getting all the frags, and then when Azy left, it allowed kjaerbye to come into his spot, and then after that, Config comes in a kjaerbye spot, and it just shows how when you're in the team but you're not in like the prime fragging spot, you don't get the numbers. So I hope anyway, if fans who understand the game isn't just like raw numbers don't show who's the best. Depends what role you play, obviously. But when you had kjaerbye early on, he was just an okay player, very young, obviously. Then he had this period in 2016 where he was amazing. It's how he got recruited to Astralis, obviously, and later became major MVP. And then obviously he came back when he did the gamble and he re-signed with North, and people know that was like a very up and down period. And then afterwards, when you came back to North a few years later in this story, you had him basically almost at the end before he went to FaZe Clan, right? This is a player more like in English sports, you'd usually use the term like problem child in the sense that like it seems like no one could quite figure out totally what the puzzle was with kjaerbye, because sometimes like in the 2016 Dignitas with you, he was mega, he was obviously a super good player. People know at least, let's say, the first 3/4 of his time in Astralis he was really good, but then he had these periods where he looked like he could as much as he could be up, he could be very down at big tournaments as well. He could have just a performance that doesn't befit a star player. But if you looked with your eyes, you could see he's clearly got like crazy aim, he's got skills and stuff. Give me your thoughts on kjaerbye, because you saw this guy through his whole career. What was the issue? I will say, from my perspective, he's one of the rare players who would actually reach out to me. It was almost implied to me the way he was talking, like he actually genuinely did have some sort of a confidence or self-esteem thing in the game. Like maybe sometimes he lost faith in himself or something. What's your perspective on what happened with kjaerbye?
I think back when I had him in the beginning, he was really, really good. Once we kicked Pimp, he got a lot better because Pimp was pretty harsh on him. Like kjaerbye is the kind of player I would say that need a lot of nurturing. Like he needs to know that he's good. You know, you need to give him a lot of confidence. I feel like when he shined, at least with me, I pumped into him how good he was, and obviously he also felt on himself. Now he needs to take responsibility. Like when Pimp got out, he need to be the guy. Like we bring in Config, who was a young guy back then, and Robinho. So he felt like now he needs to shine, and I think he took that role on really good. I think like honestly, the biggest thing with kjaerbye, I think, is his mental work. I think he have had a hard time, especially like after Astralis. Like when he joined North, he got so much shit in his face, and I think he couldn't handle it. Like I could feel on him that he was a bit distant and not in it. And I also felt like he wasn't putting in 100% work back when he came back, in my opinion. And I think it also showed later on when I joined North again. After 3 months, I think he went on. He had stress or whatever. Like
took a break or something, right?
So I think like he had a lot of mental stuff that he needed to work out. I think looking from his Instagram and so on, it looks like he have worked a lot on that, and I hope he will come back and work 110%, because then I really think he can do something again, because I think like he has very good communication and understanding, and I think if he works hard, he just needs to keep improving, like, and not stick with what worked in the past too much, I would say.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.